Hi, this is Yashasvi from Law 2.0 conference. I am here with Dr. Balakrishna. First of all, congratulations for getting recognized on such a platform.
Thank you very much.
Can you please
And
introduce yourself, Doctor?
yeah, see, as far as I'm concerned, it's a long journey, I would say. Uh, my father was a income tax and allied taxes lawyer, and he was well known in that field. And therefore, I had no inclination at any point of time to go and study law.
Right.
Let me tell you. So I had other pursuits to do. So I thought, that was best. But ultimately, my father was very adamant that I should get into law. And
Awesome.
then, therefore, I had no other choice. That's a period of time, when you go with what your parents say, and you can't just say that, I don't
Right.
mind. You get lost, and I'll do whatever I like. So I studied law and then I joined him. And thereafter, after some time, I wanted to study company law. Company law was something which I thought was available, or the background or it was in Mumbai.
Okay.
And therefore, at that time, it was called Bombay. And therefore, I joined at that point of time as a middle management officer in Unit Trust of India,
Okay.
which was a statutory corporation and which is the only mutual fund cum term lending institution, a very unique blend with no regulations or anything of that sort.
Right.
So I joined there and I started learning a lot of things and the capital market, the documentation,
Right.
and other issues, and which was a completely new world to me,
Right.
both in my life as well as in the work scenario. So I picked up the threads from there,
I see.
and then I became the DGM there, and then while that was there, the liberalization, or the India economy opened up, and in 1991, the great Prime Minister Mr. Narasimha Rao was. I mean, definitely, the credit goes to him, and
Right.
therefore they thought that contrary to what earlier the politicians believed, that all the banks has to be nationalized,
Right.
and they wanted to start a world class technology oriented bank, private sector bank in India.
Right. Right.
And the irony is that a public sector institution like Unit Trust of India, who had that kind of money, 100 crores was the capital at that point of time which was needed, and
Right.
therefore they were asked to set up a private sector bank, and they set up a private sector bank which was in 1994,
Okay.
and which was inaugurated at that point of time by the then finance minister, who later became the Prime Minister of India, that is Dr. Manmohan Singh.
Right.
And therefore, after some time, I had the inkling, somehow, I had some kind of to learn something new, and banking was not known to me, and
Right.
therefore, I joined the bank and set up the law department, and we grew with the bank, and then the banks was rechristened as Axis Bank, and I was a part of many issues. And today, I should confess that today, if at all, I'm known for my knowledge in banking law or corporate law. Everything I owe to the Axis Bank and the members of Axis Bank, my colleagues who were there, who with whom I
Right.
learned banking, because it was not that I came as a banker or something like that. And then later, I mean, I grew with the bank, and then I went up to the role of a president,
Right.
and then thereafter, I had the fortune to work with good people there, and my colleagues also are the people, the branch managers, who had where I had to answer, because it's also a kind of, they say that question of survival. So I need to
Right.
prove myself every day, and therefore, I learned it, and thank God, nothing went wrong, and I got slowly the recognition. And subsequent to that, I joined asset reconstruction company, which was India's first asset reconstruction company called RSL. And
Okay.
that was a new concept, asset reconstruction company. Then I was a legal advisor and come legal head. Then subsequent to that, always, going back to the roots, I started practice with my father, and therefore I came back, and then I started practicing,
I see.
and we are practicing under the name and style BGK Law Associates in Mumbai. and we are practicing corporate law. That is the sum total of my growth.
I see. Well, that is really good to know. Other than that, that was really inspiring path that you just told me. Other than that, like if we talk about the recognition, could you let me know what led you to winning out this award?
I mean, recognition, see, as you grow, recognition means, the biggest recognition I got was from my colleagues who said that, whatever I'm considered as a solution finder to many of their various problems, and that keeps on coming, and still there. Then
Right.
subsequent to that, I was recognized in this field, and then by the IBA,
Right.
and then by other legal awards, including yours, and that that recognition definitely boosts my confidence, and then say that okay, what I do is somebody to watch me,
Right.
somebody is observing me, and therefore that's the most important thing. Somebody is observing me. It's like today. I mean, we do anything. We have to ensure that we have to keep in mind that CCTV captures everything what we do in an
Exactly.
office or in a road or except in your house. See wherever you walk. Like that. Somebody is watching me. So that
Right.
is that point keeps me and till the spirit to better myself, sharpen my skills, and I still consider myself it is a learning process. I can't say that I'm a complete man in the sense completely knowledgeable in the law field of law which I'm dealing in. That way, I said it's not a complete. I mean, I'm still studying because, and also another passion I have is teaching. So I go and teach in many universities, and
Okay.
that keeps me on the toes. The young generation puts me to questions, and therefore, I'm back to the fundamentals. And I have a batch of young colleagues, and whom I'm mentoring, and they also keep me on the toes, and then it's a collective function which we are doing.
I see. Well, that is really wonderful to hear that. Other than that, like how do you think like this industry is transforming lives at a global scale?
Global scale, the latest is that, while we fix the interview and while we are having the interview today, Bar Council of India has allowed the foreign law firms to come into India.
Okay.
Okay. That was something which was always resisted by Indian lawyers.
Right.
And, yeah, because, now they have been allowed to set shop, but in a limited manner to advise Indian clients with regard to the global laws,
Right.
and they cannot appear before the court. That normally is not allowed anywhere in outside also. When I'm as an Indian lawyer, if I want to appear before a court in UK or in USA, I have to pass their bar examination, and then only I can go there.
Right.
And here also the same thing has happened, and therefore uh, it always makes one thing is that people like us or the big law firms here, there is a stiff uh, competition by way of quality work or quality advice is coming. So you
Right.
have for a foreign client to come to India to set up something, so they will go to their lawyer there who is now allowed to practice in India or allowed to set shop in India. So therefore,
I see.
that is an example. We are all seeing what is going to happen because
Right.
today another news was there that
Right.
the bar council, some lawyers have asked for a clarification, and then they have said that it is only for giving advisory and not to appear before the court. So
Okay.
if you want to be in the global field, that and with the globalization of the trade and everything, because with internet and everything,
Right.
to sharpen your skill every day. Let me tell you, you can't just say that I know what I'm doing. No,
Right.
every day things are changing, and therefore, you have to be on alert. And that is the beauty, or of a really interested lawyer who wants to be known globally, or who wants to know about what is happening in the world, and vice
Right.
versa. Otherwise, you can sit and be an armchair practitioner also, but it's not that. We appear before the courts also, so
Right.
we are always on the toes.
Well, definitely, to be honest, as I was listening, I can see like you are speaking your experience. So that is really wonderful to hear that. Other than that, like if you talk about the conference, the Law 2.2 conference, like how has the conference been for you so like so far?
No, conferences, I always, love to go to conferences and meet people and exchange ideas. And,
Right.
so the law conference or your conference is concerned is, it is a melting pot or people from all walks of, from different jurisdictions come there and exchange their ideas.
Right.
So that's what I said, so we need to understand what is happening in the other world, and, they need to understand what is happening here. And,
Right.
you can pick up the threads and, the best practices which is followed elsewhere and which we are following can be understood by them and vice versa. And
Right.
definitely, and, wherever, we needs improvement and wherever they need improvement, they can get it from both of us. And, therefore, these conferences provide a platform for that. And this platform
Right.
has to be used for it. And therefore, to come to know, otherwise, sitting here, I'll be thinking good or bad about what is happening in another
Right.
country, and I may not know what is happening. But when you face to face, when they talk and, when they exchange ideas, and, that's good.
Right.
And this also helps us, especially for a lawyer who is attending to courts, because you can quote the precedents from other countries on a similar issue, which I may have, which may not have been dealt here. For
Right.
example, and now there is a raging controversy. Somebody has filed a PIL about the same-sex marriage.
Right.
So that is
Right.
pending in the Supreme Court. So we have to take about what is happening elsewhere, and, how many countries have accepted this, and, but a bit with a pinch of salt, because, each country's culture differs. Let
Culture.
me tell
That's right.
culture differs, and I may be, we are following common law, but there are
Right.
other people who are not following common law. US, there is no common law. We are following common law. In our neighbor Sri Lanka is not following common law, though they are following a Anglo plus Dutch law. So there is completely different,
Right.
because I have had an experience in Sri Lanka. Therefore, I was commissioned to set up a branch of my bank there, and therefore, when I went for the documentation, so I was fully loaded with the fact that, it is like our own, because it was a part of the colony, and, but nothing like that. There is
Okay.
completely different. So each country has its own distinct, so we can pick up the best from them. So that is
Nice.
where it helps us to go for these conferences, meet people, exchange ideas, and, you come back. There are many takeaways which you can take up.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Well, that is really good to know that. Other than that, please tell us where we can find more about you, where we can reach out to your about your company.
Yeah, my company, we have, I told you, that, we have relatively, it's a new setup which we have started, and, with like-minded people. And, all of us were once partners of various legal firms, or, we're working in legal firms.
Right.
And we thought, okay, after the pandemic, we thought, okay, definitely we should do something. And therefore, just